The first thing I noticed wasn't the smell or the crying. It was the bag of rice. One of those giant, 20-pound sacks, sitting in our bathtub. No explanation. No note. Just a phone buried halfway inside it. Screen up, blinking like it had been underwater. That's how I knew something went wrong in Jamaica. She was supposed to be back at noon. It was almost 4 p.m. before I heard the front door creak open. I didn't rush to greet her. I watched from the hallway like a stranger, gripping the railing like it might steady my heart. She stepped inside barefoot, still wearing the airport socks, eyes hidden behind those mirrored sunglasses she only wears when she's hungover or hiding. "Don't freak out," she said. "Let me explain." That's when I saw the airport pregnancy test box in her hand. Let me repeat that. Airport pregnancy test. She didn't even wait to get home. She'd peed on a stick in a public airport restroom, and the first thing she did when she walked through our door was not hug me, not kiss me, not say she missed me, but casually place the used test on the counter like it was a grocery receipt. It was positive, and we hadn't, in over 2 months. Maybe longer. I asked her whose it was. She blinked at me like I had lost my mind. Said it could still be mine, that sperm can survive inside for like a while. I looked it up later. It's 5 days, not 60. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just stared at the test, then at the soggy phone in the rice, then back at her. And I realized something. I didn't know this woman anymore. I made a decision right then. Before she could unpack, before she could even start her rehearsed speech about how it didn't mean anything. I was already in the bedroom, packing my own bag. I didn't say goodbye, didn't leave a note, didn't slam the door. I disappeared. I didn't even know where I was going. I just grabbed the essentials, a hoodie, a charger, my passport, and her laptop. Not mine, hers. And not for revenge. I didn't even have a plan yet. But something in me whispered, "Take the laptop." And that whisper had the voice of every gut instinct I'd ever ignored in our marriage. By the time I hit the freeway, she was calling. Over, and over, and over. 10 missed calls in 20 minutes. I didn't answer a single one. I wasn't ready to hear her voice anymore. That voice that once sounded like home now sounded like an emergency siren in my skull. I pulled into a rest stop 2 hours out. Locked the doors. Opened her laptop. First thing that popped up? A folder named Tax Docs 2021. Very convincing. Except when I opened it, there weren't any spreadsheets or PDFs. Just a string of video files. All of them labeled with dates from the trip. I opened the first one, recorded late at night based on the timestamp. Just beach waves and wind. Then voices. Laughing. Hers included. Then a guy's voice, low and slurred. I watched 30 seconds and shut the screen. My throat went dry. My palms were sweating on the keyboard. I told myself I was being paranoid. That I was reading into nothing. That maybe it was mine and the stress was just making everything seem worse than it was. But then I noticed something I'd somehow missed earlier. Her phone, buried in rice, remember? Well, I had the same model. The exact same one. Waterproof. Why would a waterproof phone need to be saved in rice? That was the crack in the wall. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in a motel bed with the glow of her laptop illuminating every lie I'd ever been too naive to challenge. Messages, audio notes, voice memos saved to files instead of the app. And then, one photo. It wasn't obscene, not even inappropriate. Just her, leaning into some guy's chest on a boat, holding a red Solo cup. But it was the look on her face. That relaxed, effortless smile she hadn't worn around me in years. I stared at it until my eyes hurt. I still hadn't cried. I thought I would, but I didn't. Just felt this low, humming grief that pressed into my ribs like a bruise I couldn't see. She was still calling. I finally answered. One word from me. Just one. Whose is it? Dead silence. Then static. Then her voice. I don't know. That's when I hung up. And that's when I knew I was never going back. I drove until my eyes started burning. At some point around dawn, I pulled into a 24-hour diner and sat in the parking lot, engine running, staring blankly at a flickering neon sign that read "Open Hearts, open late." That felt ironic. My heart wasn't open. It was swelling shut, like a wound that never got stitched. I didn't go inside. I stayed in the car and opened her laptop again. There was a folder in her downloads called Stuff. Just that. Lowercase. Innocent enough. Inside were screenshots, not from the trip, but from weeks before it. Instagram profiles, private accounts, comments on tropical vacation posts from random guys. All of it collected like evidence. Like she was preparing, planning, choosing. And then I saw it. A Google search that made my stomach flip. Can you get paternity tested at 8 weeks without the father? I stared at that sentence like it had teeth. And the worst part? The date of that search was 3 days before she flew to Jamaica. That meant she suspected something before the trip. Or maybe she already knew. I didn't know which option was worse. Then came the name. It wasn't mine. Buried in her Chrome autofill was a contact. Jason, boat guy. Spelled with a Y, like some tan caricature of a reggae DJ. The kind of guy who smiles with too many teeth and calls everyone princess. She had searched for his Facebook page 5 times. Bookmarked it. Saved photos. Jason. I'd never heard of him. She'd never mentioned a boat. She told me the whole trip was yoga, journaling, and spiritual awakening. I guess that's what they're calling it now. I closed the laptop and finally walked into the diner. I sat at the farthest booth from the window and ordered black coffee I wouldn't drink and pancakes I wouldn't eat. I just needed something warm in front of me so I didn't fall apart in public. While I sat there, my phone buzzed. It was her again. But this time, it wasn't a call. It was a screenshot of a sonogram. No words. No explanation. Just the image. At first, I thought she meant it as some kind of peace offering. Like, look, it's real. You should be part of this. But the longer I looked at it, the more it felt like a warning. Like she was drawing a line in the sand. I typed a reply. I wrote, "If you know who the father is, tell him congratulations." I hit send. Then I blocked her number. I didn't know what the next step was. But I knew it wouldn't involve apologizing for vanishing. I wasn't sorry. Not anymore. I didn't plan on checking my email. I just wanted to disappear, like I said. But I still had it set to sync automatically, and I guess in all my panic I hadn't disabled notifications. I was halfway through refueling at a gas station in North Carolina, 2 states away from home, when my phone vibrated and I saw the subject line. From Margot. What did she do? Margot is her mom. Now, let me be clear, Margot and I have never been close. She's the type who believes every issue can be solved with herbal tea and denial. At our wedding, she actually told me, "Don't stress too much. Simone changes her mind a lot." I thought it was a weird joke. Now I wonder if it was a warning. The email was short. 1 paragraph. No emojis. No warmth. Just cold curiosity wrapped in a thin layer of maternal concern. She wrote, "I know something happened. She came back acting weird, and now you're gone. You didn't deserve whatever this is. If you're ready to talk, call me. I'm on your side more than you think." I wasn't ready to talk, but I was curious. So I called. And for the first time in years, I heard Margot cry. She didn't defend her daughter. Not once. She didn't ask me to come home. Didn't say, "Give her a chance," or "You don't know the whole story." She said Simone had always had a self-destruct button, and that button had just gotten bigger and more expensive as she got older. Then she said something that made my chest hollow out. She asked me if I could lie and say she was already pregnant before she left. I couldn't breathe for a few seconds. I asked her to repeat it. She did. Simone had tried to recruit her own mother into this mess. To plant some alibi. To rewrite the timeline. To convince everyone, including me, that what happened on that beach in Jamaica wasn't the actual beginning of anything. Margot said she refused. Flat out. And then Simone stopped answering her calls. I didn't know whether to feel betrayed or grateful. Maybe both. Maybe mostly tired. I thanked her and hung up before she could ask where I was. I still wasn't ready to be found. But I knew now I wasn't crazy. I wasn't overreacting. I wasn't the villain in this. I wasn't even the victim anymore. I was the witness. And I was starting to document everything. That night, I opened a new document on her laptop and began writing everything I had discovered. Every message, every photo, every lie, every timeline inconsistency. I didn't know if I'd need it for court, or therapy, or closure. I just knew I needed it somewhere outside of my own head. Because the next time she tried to rewrite the truth, I'd be ready. And I hadn't even seen the worst of it yet. It had been 11 days. 11 quiet, strange, heavy days since I'd vanished. I hadn't posted anything. Hadn't used my cards. I paid cash. I stayed in small motels with barely working ice machines and curtains that didn't fully close. I changed my number. I thought I was off the grid. And still, she found me. It was morning. I had just come back from a walk to the corner store for instant coffee and a gas station breakfast sandwich that tasted like cardboard and regret. I turned the corner to the motel parking lot and froze. She was standing next to my car. Not alone. Next to her was a man I'd never seen. Tall, athletic, overly confident stance, like the world owed him something just for showing up. He had on sunglasses and one of those sleeveless hoodies guys wear when they want their biceps to do the talking. For a second, I thought I was being robbed. But then she waved. Not sheepishly, not nervously, like this was a surprise birthday party. I didn't say a word. I walked past them and went straight into my room. Locked the door. Turned off the lights. 30 seconds later, the knock came. 3 slow, spaced-out taps. Then her voice. I just want to talk. Then his voice. You left something behind. I didn't reply. I grabbed her laptop from the drawer and slid it into my backpack. After a minute, they stopped knocking. Another 2 minutes passed, then footsteps. I peeked out through the curtain. They were getting into a rental car. But what chilled me wasn't the fact that she'd come after me. It was what he was holding. It was my hoodie. The one I'd been wearing the night I left. The one I left on the back of the chair in our kitchen when I packed. That meant she had gone through the house. Gone through my things. And brought him with her. Why? To intimidate me? To guilt me into something? Or worse, to stage some kind of reconciliation scene with a witness? I waited until they left the parking lot, then checked the car. No tracker. No scratches. Nothing obvious. But I couldn't shake the feeling that the story I thought was unraveling had just jumped to a new, darker chapter. Later that night, I turned her laptop back on. I reopened the photos folder I'd been avoiding. There was a subfolder I hadn't opened before, tucked inside a zip archive labeled Private. And inside that, one single video. Short. 43 seconds. I hesitated. Then I clicked. It started with her laughing. A beach in the background. Music. Then she turned the camera around to face him. Same guy. Same sunglasses. Same smirk. He kissed her shoulder and called her baby mama. She didn't correct him. She just smiled and whispered something into his ear. I turned the video off before I could hear the rest. I was done playing the fool, but I wasn't done disappearing. I couldn't sleep after watching that video. I tried to avoid the deep dive. Tried to keep things surface level, just enough to know she lied, cheated, and left me in emotional wreckage. But after she showed up with that guy, him, something in me snapped. I couldn't let this end as just another tragic breakup story. I needed answers. And not for closure. For clarity. For reality. Because suddenly, this felt bigger than a mistake. It felt calculated. So I started with what I knew. The name she had saved in her phone before the trip. Jason, boat guy. I took the video from the laptop and ran it through a reverse image search engine that could grab facial frames. It was a long shot, but I got a hit. Not from social media, but from a news article. My stomach dropped. Jason, boat guy, wasn't just some vacation fling. He had a record. Not a criminal one, something slicker. He was a promoter. A fixer. A guy who specialized in high-end tourist experiences for wealthy visitors looking to disconnect. His name came up in a civil suit filed by a woman from Canada who claimed she had been lured into something she didn't sign up for during a luxury beach excursion. The case was settled quietly. No details. But now his face was in my story. I kept digging. Found a LinkedIn account that hadn't been updated in years, but mentioned discreet guest engagement coordination. That's not a real job. That's a red flag wrapped in a resume. I started mapping it all out. Dates, times, her posts, locations, even the Wi-Fi logins I'd recovered from her browser. Everything matched. She had been in contact with him before she left. Not just met on the beach. No, this had been arranged. Scheduled. Like she went down there knowing she wouldn't be alone for long. That's when the sickness hit me full force. Not just betrayal. Intent. She didn't just cheat on me. She planned it. Designed it. Disguised it as self-care and healing and empowerment, but what it really was an exit strategy. And somehow, I wasn't part of the plan. Not to be included. Not even to be notified. I was just meant to vanish quietly, accept the scraps of her lie, and move on like a good little husband who didn't ask too many questions. Too bad I had always been the kind of guy who overthinks everything. And now I knew something she didn't. Because in the video, in the reflection of the sunglasses Jason wore, there was a date. A banner on the boat behind them. Some kind of private event. The kind that leaves a registration list. And if I could find that list, I might find out the one thing she thought I'd never learn. The real name of her baby's father. Finding the guest list wasn't easy. But obsession is a powerful fuel, especially when your life has just collapsed into lies and echoes. I started by searching the name of the boat, the one I barely glimpsed in the reflection on his glasses. It was blurry, but I caught enough of the logo to track it to a charter company based out of Montego Bay. Luxury events, private parties, influencer packages. The works. I created a fake identity, a travel blogger looking to feature authentic Caribbean nightlife. I emailed, pretending I'd heard great things about their private boat series. I asked casually if I could see past guest lists or promo material, just to get a vibe. To my shock, they responded. A guy named Ellis sent me a PDF with sample guest entries and a few event flyers from the week Simone was there. I opened it on the motel Wi-Fi. 53 names. Most of them looked like exactly what you'd expect. Rich-sounding, half-influencer types, bachelorette parties, a crypto guy, some DJ. Then I found it. About halfway down. Marla V. NYC, +1, Simone G. That was her. Simone. And the friend who convinced her to go. I felt the heat rise in my face when I saw it confirmed. But then something even worse followed, a few lines lower. Private invite, Nicholas G. I blinked. Nicholas G. That name shouldn't have been there. Because Nicholas Grayson is my brother. We hadn't spoken in almost 3 years. After our dad's funeral, things fell apart. It's a long story that ends with a fight over money, property, and a ruined Thanksgiving. He moved to L.A. and ghosted the family. Simone had met him once. Years ago. At our wedding. And yet, there it was. Private invite. Not a +1. Not tagged to anyone else. His own separate name. I felt like the floor disappeared beneath me. My mind started connecting things I didn't want to believe. She never brought him up. Never asked about him. But she followed him on Instagram. I checked. Quietly. Without liking anything. And there it was. He had been in Jamaica that same week. Photos, tagged locations, stories with palm trees, and drink umbrellas. He never mentioned Simone. No cross posts. No photos together. But the overlap was too clean to be coincidence. And Jason? The boat guy? Turns out he used to promote underground parties in Venice Beach. Same scene my brother ran in when he lived there. That's where they met. That's how this whole thing started. Not on a beach. But years ago. In a room I wasn't in. I stared at the laptop screen for almost an hour. Heart racing. Hand frozen over the touchpad. Was it possible? Had my own brother. No. I wasn't going to finish that thought yet. I needed confirmation. Something undeniable. And I knew exactly who to ask. Because there was one person I hadn't talked to. The one who probably knew everything, but had been silent this whole time. Marla. Simone's best friend. The one who brought her to Jamaica. The one who booked the +1. And I had her number. I stared at Marla's contact for hours. I wasn't sure what I was expecting, an apology? A confession? A breakdown sobbing that she never meant for it to go that far. I didn't know. But after everything I'd uncovered, the baby, the lies, the boat guy, my brother, I needed someone to speak the truth, even if it cracked my heart wide open. So I texted her. Simple. Just 5 words. Did you know about Nicholas? It was late. I didn't expect an answer. But she replied within minutes. I didn't want to be part of this. I told her not to invite him. I begged her. I stared at that message like it was written in fire. It didn't answer everything, but it told me enough. She had known. Not just about Jason, but about Nicholas. My brother. That was the final piece. And suddenly, I didn't need any more details. I didn't need a confrontation. I didn't need to know whether he was the father, or Jason was, or some other ghost in her inbox. It didn't matter anymore. Because the story wasn't about them now. It was about me. About the moment I stopped being a background character in someone else's drama and started writing my own ending. So here's what I did. I changed my number again. Wiped the old email. Sold her laptop. I drove for days, all the way to Colorado. I found a place with pine trees and silence and neighbors who don't ask questions. I started working remotely, freelancing, building websites for small businesses that just want to be noticed. I got therapy. Real therapy. The kind where you sit in a room and say things out loud you were never brave enough to say even in your head. I unpacked the whole thing. Not just the betrayal, but the way I'd ignored red flags because I didn't believe I deserved better. And you know what? The truth is, I'm okay. I'm not fixed. I'm not perfect. I'm still scared to trust. But I'm okay. I smile again. I eat food I actually enjoy. I walk with my shoulders back. I talk to people who don't make me feel like I'm always about to be left behind. And Simone? I never heard from her again. Not directly. One of her cousins DM'd me a few months ago. Said she had the baby. Beautiful girl. No public paternity test. Nicholas vanished again. Go figure. And me? I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Because I wasn't that man anymore. The one waiting for an explanation. The one hoping she'd magically become someone better. I had already disappeared from that version of my life. And the one I live now? It's mine. Every peaceful, honest, quiet second of it.